Hey there humanoids, AJ back for the Mighty Glue Stick channel, continuing the world's most comprehensive list of D&D dragon ecology videos. This week we're talking about the very rare yellow dragon. Orange, purple and yellow dragons were created by Richard Allen Lloyd and presented in Dragon 65 in September of 1982 and in Dragon 248 June 1998. They were adapted for the 3rd edition in the Dragon Compendium. Ancient Dragon and Draconic mythology claims that Tiamat had a sister. In a deadly fight, Tiamat killed her, tearing her apart, and commanded all of her children to hunt down her sister's offspring. How true this really is, none can say, and good luck asking Tiamat. What is true is that there are more colours of chromatic dragons than the colours of Tiamat's 5 heads. The yellow dragon is a chromatic dragon species that was much more common long time ago. These days they are either one of the most rare chromatic dragons seldom ever encountered, or they may be extinct, at least extinct on the world of Toril. Some sages have mused that there must be a yellow dragon and that green dragons would be the offspring if blue and yellow ever mated. And you know, on the face of it, this is not an entirely silly idea, as the yellow dragon is about the right size and their temperament certainly fits. Plus, most interestingly, yellow dragons are immune to lightning. In the days when the dragons laid waste to the ancient empire of the avian creator race and dominated the world, the yellow dragon was just as common as any other chromatic dragons. Many were ancient and powerful, respected and dominant individuals. When the dragons went to war against the Empire of Astoria and the giants and waged brutal no-quarter battles, the yellow dragons proved to be less respected among their own kind because yellow dragons are so selfish that they don't really care much for any other creature, dragon, giant, whatever. They fought for themselves. Most of the time this worked in the favour of the draconic kind, but all too often when the conflict didn't directly impact on the life of a yellow dragon, they simply refused to get involved. Sometimes they even worked for the giants. If the giants were willing to pad their hoard with piles of golden gems, well, there are some tales of incidents where yellow dragons deliberately betrayed brass dragons simply because they didn't like how close those brass dragons came to living near their own territory. Their solitary nature, combined with the reduced dragon population, and then finally the Elven uprising and the devastating effects of the Draco Age mythal, meant that yellow dragons simply failed to seek out mates, and each new generation grew fewer and fewer until now, on Toril, perhaps none remain. At birth, yellows have soft tan scales. As they grow older, the scales harden to become lighter in colour, eventually reaching the greyish yellow of desert sands. These scales always have a dusty texture to them, giving them a finish that does not reflect light very well. Even the teeth and claws have a similar finish. No part of the yellow dragon will glint in the sunlight, therefore giving away their position. To chromatic dragons, this always seems to make yellow dragons look sickly and weaker than they truly are, which the yellow dragons certainly capitalise on in any fight. Yellow dragons speak with their own tongue, which is quite different to that spoken by other evil dragons, and they have no interest in speaking with other dragon races, and so they learn no other languages, and this makes it very difficult to deal with them, even for other dragons. Although able to eat pretty much anything, the yellow dragons have always sought out fresh meat, and they are very, very fond of the flesh of elves, dwarves, halflings and gnomes. They will eat humans, of course, but given a choice they would prefer that it at least be a half-elf, and they would prefer a human over a half-orc. They're also prone to stealing and eating the eggs of brass dragons, something that dragons consider a taboo, but yellow dragons consider it a delicacy beyond price. They hunt exclusively by ambush and traps. You won't find them out actively hunting for prey unless they've lost their mind and become bestial savages. One reason for this is that they are physically weaker. They're the weakest of the chromatic dragons. However, they are the fastest. While another dragon may rely on its physical might, the yellow dragon knows that its speed is the key to defeating its foes. Despite their physical weakness, yellow dragon is a frustrating opponent for any other dragon, as it can easily avoid the claws, fangs, and even breath weapon of its attackers. They are almost as fast underwater as they are in the air, swimming with tremendous speed, usually using that long and sleek body to cut through the water. One way you can tell an ancient yellow dragon is close, by the way, is that pools and lakes of water near their lair become more and more salty the closer you get. Their breath weapon is a 90-foot cone of salt that binds to creatures and structures in its area. A dexterity saving throw prevents being covered in the stuff, otherwise you get temporarily blinded until the end of the dragon's next turn, and also restrained until you can break free with a strength save. However, get blasted again by the breath weapon before you are free, and you are now blinded and paralyzed as well. You can make a roll to end each successive condition. So make a save versus paralysis, and then blinded, and then restrained, and you get advantage on these rolls if you have an ally who is trying to help free you. They're fully amphibious, able to breathe air and water, exist at crushing ocean depths with ease. They can swim 120 feet per round, fly at 150 feet per round, burrow at 40 feet, and run at 40 feet per round. Don't forget, they can also dash, so 300 feet of movement through the air is pretty fast. Just to clarify, that is 300 feet of movement up, or flying in a straight line. They move much faster. Anything moves much faster when they simply plummet out of the sky. I actually did the calculations, and if a yellow dragon dashed up to 300 feet into the sky, then decided to power bomb down onto a target, they would fall that distance in 4.31 seconds, hit at 94.47 miles per hour, delivering over 12 million joules of energy on impact, which is slightly more than a M829A3 Super Sabo 22-pound depleted uranium penetrator tank shell with a velocity of 5,100 feet per second, or 8,955 times more power than the punch of an Olympic heavyweight boxer, enough force to punch through any armor crafted by man or god. Thankfully, dragons are not prone to suicide attacks, but the point is, those who scoff at the flight of a speed of a dragon are usually forgetting that this ancient creature weighs about 30,000 pounds and can leap off the ground and be 300 feet in the air in 6 seconds. If you really wanted to argue the physics of that, how about a knockdown wind gust every time the creature takes off, because it is displacing 30,000 pounds plus the acceleration force. Trust me, in Dungeons & Dragons, physics is not your friend. When you actually do the math, you'd be amazed at how accurate the damage listing for things in D&D are. For instance, the impact of a giant swinging a great club is highly accurate. But that's getting off topic here. So, Yellow Dragon. As an optional legendary action, give your dragon a ramming attack. The target gets to make a dexterity saving throw for half damage or takes a significant hit, say twice its bite attack damage, and is knocked prone. Then the dragon can also make a bite attack. Any more power than that and the dragon starts taking damage from the impact as well. But they are intelligent and emotional creatures. There are times when they may decide to do that. DMs, I leave this up to you. Their ability to fly, swim, and burrow makes them a dangerous ambush predator able to evade pursuers and attack from hiding in any environment. The Yellow's favourite tactic is to swoop past enemies too fast for them to strike, using its powerful breath weapon to restrain them in a pillar of salt, and at which time it attacks the helpless victim with its claws and fangs. If faced with a superior opponent, the yellow dragon will flee beneath the waves or burrow into the earth. The preferred terrain of a yellow dragon is somewhere damp. Usually lakes, swamps, and coastlines are all places you might find these peculiar dragons. Their lairs are generally underwater, where the dragon is safe from and has some advantage over most potential attackers. Even creatures native to the waves are unlikely to disturb a yellow dragon's lair. However, despite this, many seek out the searing heat of deep deserts to find them. If you ask me, I think one of these critters could certainly be found in the salt flats found in the Anarok Desert, lairing in a deeply buried ancient Netherese ruin. The fact that the desert is slowly being reclaimed and transformed back into dry and scrubby badland may actually flush out one of these rare beasts as they go looking for new territory more to their liking. Otherwise, you'd most likely found them underwater in a mutually beneficial agreement with the local Sahuagin, in which it receives a constant supply of food and tribute in exchange for its mere presence. As it tolerates no threats, so it will keep the waters around the Sahuagin village safe from rival tribes, aquatic elves, tritons, other such threats. However, a yellow dragon of sufficient power may simply conquer the sea devils and demand their service, building for themselves an empire under the waves. A yellow dragon makes for a capricious and cruel ruler, and its servants live in fear of the consequences of displeasing it. In that regard, they are slightly better than the dreaded and psychotic black dragons. It would be interesting to me as a DM to have the characters fighting a blue dragon in some desert encounter, when the blue dragon just sort of stops in its tracks and starts yelling in languages the characters can't identify. And then there's this tremendous blast of salt and a thunderous impact, and the blue dragon is frantically retreating with a lovely bite taken out of its neck. It blasts a lightning bolt into the cloud of sand and out steps a yellow dragon, electricity coursing off its body, one of the blue dragon's minions being casually chewed on, and it makes this little shimmy like the lightning bolt is its equivalent of foreplay. It lifts its head and shrieks into the sky. The minions scatter, soiling themselves with dragon fear, and the blue dips its head and roars its submission. The characters wisely beat a hasty exit to the sound they will probably only hear once in their lifetime, and be thankful for it. Alrighty, back soon with another video. Like, comment, subscribe, tell your friends, share on message boards, support your local gaming stores, be kind to one another, and I'll catch you again soon.